I'm Prem Panikar, and this is episode 3 of Sport and Pastime, our weekly podcast.
Hi, I'm Faisal Sharif, and as usual, Power Pack show. But today it's going to be all India. We're going to be celebrating the T20I series win. Our girls doing well and making it to the final of the Under 19 T20 World Cup. And of course, then we are going to talk about the great or the greatest of all time, Jasprit Bumrah. So, Prem, take it away.
Yeah, Jasprit Bumrah. I think, like you were saying on the sidelines of before we started talking, when Australians start praising you, you know that you've arrived. And there are very, very few Indian players who, the Australians have praised. Never mind the ICC picking you as the, best test player of. I think actually he's not even the best test player, right? I think he's the best format player, all weather player, all pitch player, and all situation player because he strikes in his opening spell. Then if somebody builds a partnership, you can bring him back anytime. Everything looks dead. The pitch looks dead. Batting looks easy. Everybody will be talking about how the pitch has settled down and all of that. They'll give the ball to Bumrah. He'll make some magic happen, and next thing you know, yeah, he's gotten the wickets. It's yeah, he's a once in a generation player. There's no way that you can duplicate him or learn from him and figure out how to do that. It's just a combination of his unique biomechanics and God knows what. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal. And like you said, surface doesn't matter, the color of the ball doesn't matter, the make of the ball doesn't matter. There's so much chatter on that, but with Bumrah, it just doesn't matter. And he's like an individual sportsman in a team sport. I
Yeah,
mean, one of those interesting stats is that he's got like 65% of his victims are either bowled, LBW, or caught at the wicket. He doesn't need anyone else to help him get those wickets. And another one that's really interesting is that almost 28% of the wickets that he took, they were all false shots that the batsman played, and that's a huge number for any bowler to get. So clearly, I think very close to being one of the greatest of all times. You have to wait another couple of seasons to see, and then we'll know the difference between a good player and a great player. But let's not forget what Usman Khwaja said about him. Let's just take a listen in and then come back and talk some more.
That action is very, very unique to Jasprit. The way he releases the ball, how far he gets out in front of the crease to release the ball. No one in world cricket really does that. Much like Mitchell Johnson was, he had a weird action too. He kind of used to hide behind. The ball used to come out and kind of get to you, felt like it got to you quicker because you didn't get a look at it the whole way. Jasprit's a little bit the same, arms and stuff going everywhere.
Cool. That was funny. Prem, did you see how Usman is clearly rattled? It reminds me of the days when the South African Daryl Cullinan used to be so scared and petrified of Shane Warne that anyone, even from another team, would just say Warnie, and Daryl Cullinan would be really, quivering in his boots.
yeah. Or Ricky Ponting against Harbhajan in conditions. Yeah, absolutely. I during the Australian series, there was so much attention paid to Bumrah's action. Some idiot first started saying that it was unfair and all of that, and that died off mercifully. But I heard multiple batsmen talk about it, and what you come away with is, when fast bowlers bowl, the front leg is braced, it's hitting the bowling crease. Your body is in between the two lines, and your hand is in between the two lines. That is where you release the ball. Bumrah's hand is actually well past the bowling crease when he releases it. If you look at a side-on view, his hand has come past the bowling crease. It means that he's taken about a foot and a half, nearly 2 feet away from the. That is that much less time to pick the line and length. And so I'm not surprised that he induces so many foul shots because in the first place he's bowling at his pace. Secondly, he's bowling from a place. Your muscle memory is to watch that hand high and pick it up from there and judge the uh, length based on the point of release. The guy who releases so late, and on top of that, he has the hyperextension, which adds to the problems. It's just that when people talk about goat, yeah, one point you made that he needs a larger body. The other point is it's always difficult comparing across eras. I mean, I remember reading multiple stories about how this is the age of the bowler, that the wickets are highly testing conditions, testing wickets, fast bowling groups in pretty much every country is playing test cricket. Uh, I mean, look at Shamar Joseph and all that from the West Indies.
Yeah,
Shamar Joseph and Alzari Joseph coming in together. So when you see all of that, and then you think of, say, something like Kapil Dev in 1983, the man won a World Cup. 25 tests that year. Okay, he didn't win a World Cup. He led the team to a World Cup win. He played 25 tests that year, more than half of them on Indian pitches, which at those days, I mean, it was dead. Uh, and he still took 75 wickets. And he is bowling at one end, who's bowling at the other end? It's a Mohinder Amarnath, it's a Sunny Gavaskar, Roger Binney. Come on. He literally
yeah,
carried the attack. Like Bumrah is carrying the attack now for different reasons. But yeah, so maybe
that's true. In fact,
we can park it. But today, yeah, beyond doubt.
yeah, without doubt. In fact, Gillespie had a very good theory about what makes him so special. He's like, if you see
Hmm.
that he's never wasting balls on bowling down the leg side or bowling wide outside the off stump, or wasting his time on bouncers that go above the head. He's always attacking that area around the off stump. I mean, it's so simple. There's no rocket science or no great secret around it. But the fact that he can continue doing that relentlessly, ball after ball, and make sure that there's no space for them to cut or pull him, and which is the reason why he's not been even hit for a six in a long, long time in Test cricket. Constas did it for the
Yeah,
first time, if I'm not wrong. But that's what
right.
makes him so special and makes him so brilliant, that he's just at you. He's at you and he's aiming for that. Either he's worrying you with his Yorkers, or he's getting that area around the top of off stump, which is so difficult to play. You have to play at it.
Yeah, it's the only other bowler I can think of who would come into bowl and the first ball would be perfect line, perfect length, top of off, would be Glenn McGrath. But Glenn McGrath didn't have the variety that Bumrah had. McGrath just bowled that and kept it there all the time. Bumrah, he'll bowl a Yorker, he'll bowl a slower ball, he'll bowl, one coming in, he makes one go out, he makes one stand up. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy.
But you heard that thing, Prem, about Labuschagne saying that he comes off short run up, that the pace that he generates can be very disconcerting at times, and it kind of breaks the rhythm of the batsman. And you said that concerns you a bit sometimes.
Yeah, it does concern me. I mean, for one thing, Labuschagne, yeah, he has a point, right? I mean, firstly, you're releasing so late, so the batsman is not able to get the cue in time, and on top of that, you're coming at good pace. But the problem is when you watch his bowling action, all the effort is going in those last three strides and the delivery stride, which basically means that he's putting a tremendous amount of effort on that delivery at that point. I'm not surprised that in his relatively short career, he's already had two back injuries that have put him out of the game for various periods of time. Fairly serious on top of it nearly. I mean, there was a point I think when everybody thought that he wasn't going to be able to come back. So
Yeah.
that is going to be an issue. It's a funny thing. I remember John Wright once saying that a lot of our bowlers, Indian bowlers, develop gully cricket or things like that without proper coaching, and so they get error. One foot used to point in front and another one at the back, with the result that is groin, things like that. And Wright was making the point that if these young talents could be spotted earlier and trained better, maybe some of these things could be avoided. But anyway, it's what it is. I think lucky to have him at this point.
Yeah, but it's also great, Prem, other than, just his talent. I think the kind of fanfare that he's got and the kind of following that he's created is unbelievable. I mean, India is known to be always worshipping their batsmen, never the bowlers. I mean, we've had the Anil Kumble's and the Bishan Bedis and, But never ever have you seen a bowler getting this kind of adulation and this kind of love and the kind of following that he has. It's just phenomenal. I mean, let's just look at this little play, this clip viral of him at the Coldplay concert, and then we'll come back and talk a bit more.
Jasprit. Jasprit. Well, Jasprit, my beautiful brother, the best bowler in the whole of cricket. We do not enjoy watching you destroy England with wicket after wicket after wicket.
The off-step out of ground, Jasprit Bumrah. It's Bumrah.
Thank you, Jasprit, my brother. We love you.
That was quite something. Coldplay mentioning Bumrah, and he's
Seriously.
coy and he's so shy. He's like really shy. In fact, what I hear from his players and also from other members is that he's really the ultimate choice for captain for this Indian team. He's nice one. He listens to everyone, and never has a bad word to tell anybody. He's allowing others to make mistakes, and I think that that's the reason why you saw the way the first went, and then the rest of the test matches went. I
Yeah.
wouldn't put it down as the only factor, but I think it made a huge difference. A happy dressing room almost always convert, maybe not victory or defeat, but the players are giving their best, and then the results, they take care of themselves.
Yeah, and related, the other thing I heard was that he takes each player aside and very clearly communicates what is expected from that player in any given situation. It's not just before the test begins, but even during the match itself, when they are reformatting or adjusting to conditions, he's always communicative. So, yeah,
Right.
it's just,
And I
do you
also
want to
heard, and I
burden
don't
him
know if
with
it's a
captaincy
rumor
on
or
top
not,
of?
Prem. Yeah, I said I wanted to mention in a lighter vein that he is also known to be more a vegetarian, and not so much a non-veg eater, which is surprising for a fast bowler. You remember the Srinath and
Yeah,
the Upma story.
Upma, yeah,
For us to have a fast bowler, who's not such a heavy eater of meat, it's quite something.
yeah. So moving on,
Yeah.
T20, and one of the great things is I mean, I should have looked up this statistic before, but I'm not very sure whether it is 16 or 17 bilateral ODI series that we've won on the trot, which is phenomenal. I mean, it's dominance in one form of cricket that almost unparalleled. Uh,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, kudos to that. I only wish that fourth T20 hadn't thrown up that little, controversy about the concussion substitute. What did you make of that?
Well, yeah, I thought it was a tad unfair. I mean, I wouldn't say that England would have gone and won the match if that substitution hadn't taken place, given the fact that Rana took 3 wickets. But I think India were well on top at that point of time. But I think the law is pretty clear. I thought Javagal Srinath, who was the match referee, could have understood better. But like I say, that there is a grey area there. It's a like to like, and Srinath also officiates in a lot of IPL games. And this law clearly says that it has to do with that match or that series. Uh, that's what the ICC referee has to look at before he can decide whether the skill set of that particular player matches with the one who's substituting him. But here, it was pretty evident that Shivam Dubey and Akshit Rana are chalk and cheese. I mean, they are by no stretch of imagination a like for like substitution. That Butler's argument is very clear. But maybe I think you need to look at the law and come up with something where there is not too much of a gray area. You either allow anyone to substitute with anyone, but like you said, it will throw up the conundrum of a semi-final or a final where, like you said, a Steve Smith would come in and would be hit on the head, and then you would have a bowler replacing him. That would be seriously unfair. Unless you have the
Yeah.
rule-written manner. What do you think? What should be done?
No, so I mean, I totally agree. One, that you know, the controversy should not cast too much of a doubt on the outcome of the match, because I think where England lost the match two places. One was when early on in Shivam Dube's innings, he was shaky against quick bowling, and particularly when they banged it in. I would have hidden Rashid for a bit longer and tried him out with pace, particularly the short ball. And you know he has a problem with the short ball early on in his innings. I think that Pandya Dubey partnership, and by the way, Dubey got the player of the match, but I would have given it to Hardik Pandya. I thought his was the more
easily.
influential innings. He was brilliant yesterday. But, all said and done, the thing is, the one thing that I can think of doing in this kind of a situation is before the tournament begins, bucket your players into various categories. So you have your batsmen, you have your bowlers, you have your all-rounders. Nominate your players. Batting all-rounders, bowling all-rounders, pure bowlers, pure batsmen, wicketkeeper, obviously. Then like for like becomes easier because you just have to look at the team sheet and pick. And if you remember, before the Indians took the in the huddle, Ramandeep Singh was actually called into the huddle. He was sitting
Yeah,
on the he was not part of the huddle. He was called in, and I thought he was going to be substituted. Nitish Kumar Reddy could have been substituted. He is again a like for like replacement for Shivam Dubey. Uh, yeah, I wish they would think of this law and how to apply it, and make sure that everybody understands it, because the last thing you need is this kind of silly controversy. It's kind of reminiscent of, remember that World Cup where hits Ben Stokes bat and goes, and they win the World Cup because of that.
yeah,
You Yeah,
yeah,
okay, that is a lacuna in the rule, or it's a badly phrased rule. But after that, you could have thought of it and rectified it. And this is, I think, another one of those laws that are seriously in need of a think.
yeah, yeah. I think so. I think they really need to look at this quickly because otherwise, those smart captains and coaches will start using anything hitting the ball on the helmet. They'll start using it and start swapping it. And I think that will be worse than that will be a bigger problem for them because you can't adjudicate that and it's a very serious thing. I mean, you can't ignore it. If somebody's hit on the head, they hit on the head. So, yeah, it needs a detailed look. But having said that, I think the performances were brilliant. This is a team that won the World Cup 6 to 8 months ago. They don't have the captain anymore. They don't have Virat Kohli. And yet it's been like such a smooth, seamless transition that, like I said,
Yeah,
and I joked last time, India can actually have two T20 teams. I mean, Rinku comes in, gets going. Anyone who's getting a chance is grabbing it with both hands. And, England is one of the better teams in the world. And to
yeah,
already have taken the series from them 4 games is no mean feat. I mean, they've got some big hitters, but the way they've planned it and the way they've made sure Brook doesn't get away, uh, Butler's the only one they've been struggling to get a reply from, but all the others, they've had the number on them. And I think really you have to take a bow. This team's done brilliantly well in the T20s.
yeah. Totally agree. Talking of T20s, there's another T20 happening, the under 19 women's
Yeah.
T20. You had any thoughts?
Yes. I'm very excited about that. We're in the finals. And of course, you're a big fan of the spinning trio. And my favorite is Sisodia. I just love what she did. Came in, took 2 wickets, changed the complexion of the game. England was struggling to come back from that point on.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, we are the defending champ. The Indian girls are the defending champions. We won the inaugural edition in 23, which is when I started following this, because I was curious about the next generation cricketers, not just Indian, across the board, to see who is coming up and what we have in store for us. But this particular team, I saw the 2023 team. It was good. It had two internationals in Shafali Verma and Richa Ghosh, who are already playing for India, and big names playing under 19. It was almost unfair, but this team is easy. It's so beautifully balanced. You've got two high quality opening players, Trisha and
Oof.
Kamalini. In fact, funnily enough, I think 75 to 80% of all the runs scored by the Indian team so far in the 6 matches that they've played, these two have scored. So one of the worries about the final is what happens if their wickets are taken early. You don't know what the middle order is capable of. They haven't played.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
you have that, and then you have those two opening bowlers, Jashita and Shabnam Shakil. Both of them have
Yeah,
decent pace, but more to the point, they're swinging the ball both ways and striking in the power plays, which gets the team off to a start.
correct.
And then I've, I don't know if you remember a team that had three spinners all of one kind. This is
Yeah,
three
no, I
left
haven't in a
arm
long time.
slow orthodox. Yeah. And because you mentioned Parunika Sisodia, look at that lineup. No? Vaishnavi Sharma is the highest wicket taker. Next to her is Ayushi Shukla, who is the second highest wicket taker. And Parunika Sisodia was the player of the match in the semi-final. All three are influential. They strike, and they strike through the innings. In the power play,
Yes.
immediately after that, in the second half of the game, it's an outstanding sort of thing. And I'm seriously looking forward to. South Africa had a rough time in the women's World T20. They keep coming into the final. Initially, it was like they never got into the finals. Now they get into the final and lose. So
They lose. Yeah.
yeah, this time I mean two undefeated
And
teams,
really
and I
augurs
don't know if
really
you,
well.
yeah, but I don't know if you noticed. First, I read a news report on the morning of the match saying VVS Lakshman had gone to the dugout, given them a pep talk and all
Yeah.
of that. And then when the match was on, every now and again the camera cut to VVS sitting in the dugout and beaming with joy. He's so involved in that. He was, yeah, it is this superb sight.
That's the
Somebody
thing
who's
about
that involved.
VVS, Prem. Yeah, that's the thing about him that he's not doing it because it's his job. I think he does it for the love of the game and the fact that he just enjoys working with them. He's become such a mentor and I really hope he's part of the coaching process, team that the BCCI is planning for the future because he does it with such ease and he's got such amazing man management skills that he gives everyone space and he's so excited. Imagine a VVS Lakshman cheering you on from the dugout. I mean, what more can you ask? Whether it's these little girls or their boys on team or even the men's team, is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and respect is the right word, right? I mean, look at the two batting coaches that we have for the national team right now. Those guys go to a Rohit Sharma or a Virat Kohli and tell them how to bat. They laugh at them. But you don't laugh at a VVS Lakshman. He talks to you, you listen. Like you listen to Rahul Dravid when he talks about batting. So, yeah, it's amazing. But, I mean, it's been an upbeat session. I almost hate to do this, but we probably end on a downbeat note. Bangladesh. I mean,
Yeah.
that's scary.
Yeah, I read that article that you sent me, Prem, and I was like, oh my God, not all over again. I mean, we thought cricket was cleaning up, but reading the fact that, there are so many matches under the scanner in that Bangladesh league tournament, and the fact that there are
Yeah,
so many players who are under the watch, and about five, six of them, like you mentioned, are have played for the national team. That's a worrisome sign, you know.
yeah,
And this doesn't augur well because it goes back to the fact that the bookies and the punters are telling the players who they're getting onto their side that all you're going to get is a slap on the wrists and then you'll be back. You'll have a future. There's always reality TV to fall back on, but you'll always be playing the leagues and this proliferation of leagues. I don't even know what is going on anymore, Prem. In our times, in the last 10 years, 5 years, you've got this plethora of leagues that are playing, and the ICC is giving permission to each one of them. Like this Bangladesh league that we're talking about, you actually have the teams playing for the anti-corruption officer to be part of it. I mean, how is there
yeah.
not a conflict of interest in this, and how is he going to say that the owner of the team is involved in anything if they are, when he's the one who's paying him his salary? I mean, it's really dubious and it's very worrisome for what's happening to world cricket right now, all over again.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right, Faisal, about history repeating first as tragedy, then as farce. Because if you remember the original match fixing, one of the reasons that was identified was all kinds of these one day matches without a context, without a thing. You play in Sharjah, you play in Toronto, you play here, there, everywhere. And so basically, players didn't take that seriously, and if it was a money making opportunity, you took it. Actually, in criminology, there is this concept called the fraud triangle, and the 3 points of the triangle that identified are: one is opportunity, the second is pressure or motivation, and the third is what they call rationalization. So, if you look at opportunity, it goes to the point that you were talking about. The team is paying for the anti corruption officer, the team is paying for his accommodation, paying a salary or emoluments, whatever, and also paying expenses which are not even quantified. So, I mean, the monitoring is not going to be rigorous. And when internal controls are either absent or not enforced, obviously you're going to get opportunity is there. Opportunity is there for the bookies, and there's also opportunity for the players. Then you look at point two of the fraud triangle: pressure or motivation. Look, I mean, you made the point about this proliferation of leagues. So you're looking at the second and third and sometimes fourth tier players who are playing in some of these leagues, right? And every damn league that is played is broadcast, and every broadcast game is there are betters. So you have players coming from underprivileged backgrounds who very easily fall prey to this kind of temptation. Somebody is just giving you money for not doing too much at all. Yeah, bowl a wide. I mean, I bowl a wide anyway. I might also make some money out of bowling a wide. That kind of thing comes in, right? And also, these guys aspire for that better lifestyle. They're seeing the stars of the game going around in Porsches and Jaguars and wearing Rolexes and stuff like that. And I at least want to wear an Apple Watch or a thing. So that pressure and motivation both come in. And also, if you remember, the other controversy that is running in parallel in Bangladesh cricket right now is that players are not getting paid. So
Yes.
imagine, I mean, these guys are playing, they're not getting paid, and there is somebody willing to give them packets of cash. It's
Yeah.
it's tailor-made for trouble. And then the third corner of this fraud triangle is rationalization. And I'm rationalizing what I'm doing by saying, look, I'm not getting paid what I'm worth. I'm not doing any harm by bowling a couple of wides. Kya farak padta hai?
Yeah.
So,
And you're
and
not playing for your
also your
country,
point
so
about,
you're playing you're
yeah,
playing for a league. So how does it matter? You're not
yeah,
cheating your country and stuff like that
yeah.
comes in.
And also the point you made, right, about the ACU not taking this seriously, at least in the lower tiers of cricket. And so I'm thinking everybody else is doing it and getting away. Why not me?
Exactly. In fact, online there is somebody's put up an anti-corruption report which they've made to the ICC, and you have to say that the ACSU has done a phenomenal job of actually identifying the bookies, punters when they're at the venue, when they're at the hotel. They know them. They've got this access to the CCTV camera footage. They've got the mobiles. They've got them covered within the area of where the players are. There's no way you can escape if you're fixing a game. There's no way. But the fact is that after having done all that hard work, when it doesn't go to fruition, when you don't take any, action against it and you don't take anything against it, then what's the point? You're going to continue going away with it. If you remember the Chris Kane's case, Prem, the only
Yeah,
reason that he got away was because the translations didn't happen well of the ICL players in Hindi and in the other languages that they gave their witness statements. They were not translated well enough for the judge to make a decision. And that moment when Chris Keynes was let off, I knew it was going to be trouble because that opened the floodgates. The bookies and the punters were empowered, saying that in the end, you'll get away either at the courts or at that level, get a year or two ban, and then you come back and you're playing. I mean, Salman Butt is commenting, he's playing in
yeah,
some leagues, some domestic tournaments. Everyone's back, and there's no serious repercussions for having cheated the game and your country.
yeah. So that is part of the problem, that this is not a defined crime. So how do you take action? You can't take police action because there is no law in the books that says I can't bowl a wide. Uh, and somebody has to file a case saying I have been cheated because this guy did this. It's not going to happen. So all told, the sad part, Faisal, is I remember that period 2000 2001 when we were reporting on the Cronier hearings and all of that for Rediff. And after that, when watching a cricket match and seeing, say, a captain making a bad decision about who to give the ball to, or a bowler bowling a very indifferent spell or whatever, and you had this thing in the back of your head saying, is this because the bowler is having an off day, or is it because the guy has been paid? I thought we were over it, and now here we go again. So the next wide I see,
But
I'm going
don't
to be
go away
thinking,
from the game because of that, Prem.
yeah,
Don't let it put you
what
off.
to do? Yeah, if this had happened 4 weeks ago, I would have said no to the podcast. Now it's happened. We've done three. There's no option but to just continue. And talking about that, guys, we are kind of coming to the end of the show. We've got a lot of cricket action coming up in February. We've got the Women's Premier League, which I'm seriously looking forward to.
Yeah.
The Trophy. So, yeah. So, if you like what we're doing, subscribe, hit the button, hit that bell. I think it tells you when our successive episodes come up. And questions, comments, etc., as usual in the comments field. So, over for the week.
Prem, Prem, before we go, do you think we should just very quickly mention in 30 seconds the most anticipated Ranji innings that was waiting for the Firozshah Kotla was filled up, and Mr. Virat Kohli went in, played. I think we should see that clip.
So 14. Oh, he's gone! Big moment this. Virat Kohli's off stump. Knocked back.
That ball, that wicket, sorry, that stump traveled quite a distance, Prem.
Yeah.
What do you make of that,
See,
Prem? What's happening?
yeah, funnily enough, I kept refreshing the scoreboard to see when a wicket would fall. And then I wanted to see how Kohli was batting. I wasn't interested in the runs that he would score or not score. I wanted to see how he batted. You know what I thought of? Sometime back, if you remember, when he took a kill from the game, he said, something had happened to me and I wasn't actually thinking, and I was faking it, he said. Uh, it looks to me like he's faking it again. Because if you saw those 14 deliveries, the 15th ball he got out, if you saw those 14 deliveries, the over before he got out, he was beaten twice outside the off stump. Uh, then in the over in the ball that he got out, if you see where he is, he's a good 3 feet outside the crease. He's come down that far, and he's still 4 to 5 feet away from where the ball is landed, which basically means he hasn't read the length of the ball at all. He was just going forward, hoping that his drive will come. He's driving so far in front of his body that his top hand comes off the handle before he's completed the shot. And there's such a big gap that the ball goes right through. I mean, you know what? I know the last time we spoke about players and Ranji Trophy and all that, yeah, we were saying, but watching Kohli play this innings, I felt a bit sad. Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw Irfan Pathan make a very good comment on social media. He said that if you're playing domestic cricket in the winter months, it's much tougher than in summer because the pitches are fresher, they're greener, and
mhm.
the bowling is far better. It's more incisive, it's quicker off the deck, and all of that. But look, I mean, Kohli didn't face anything that he didn't face in Australia or that he won't face in an
True.
international arena. Uh, So for him to, the saddest part of this whole thing was what happened afterwards when Himanshu Sangwan celebrated that wicket, and you can understand why he would celebrate it. Yeah, this guy is a young railways bowler, plays only Ranji Trophy, nothing else, and he's got Kohli's wicket. Obviously, he's going to celebrate, and the fans jumped on his case. They abused him, they trolled him. Social media was full of it, and Himanshu Sangwan actually apologizes to the fans for celebrating. And I thought, I don't
That's
know. I
really
mean,
sad.
there's a new breed of cricket fan coming up that honestly,
It's
yeah, gets my
baffling.
goat.
On
But
that
yeah, it's
note,
what
Prem,
it is.
I think we should, yeah, I think we need to say goodbye to our fans. And yeah, I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Take care. Have a good one.